So we continue on our celebration of Dwyane Wade with, of course, one of the greatest players in Miami Heat franchise history, the captain, UD, recently retired. Thanks you first of all. Thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today. How are you feeling? How's retirement treating you?
I have no complaints. I have no complaints. I heard it was always going to be all right on this side of things, and only thing is I've been working my schedule around my kids all summer, so I'm just not used to working my schedule around other people. But
Yeah.
it's been fun. I've been enjoying it and making memories, so I'm thankful.
Normally around this time of year, you'd be gearing up, working out, and things of that sort, getting ready for training camp. Is that more or less what your schedule would have been like on past years?
Yeah, but I'm still actually working out. I haven't changed my workout schedule. I kind of go by the motto: if you don't use it, you lose it. So, I kind of just stay in the gym. I got a younger son that's into the game of basketball, so it gives me a reason to get up every morning. It gives me a why to keep pushing and staying with it. So, just staying active and staying a part of the game and close to it.
Still staying ready, not so you don't have to get ready, huh?
Oh, for sure, for sure. You never know.
Well, speaking of staying ready, there was somebody who was always ready during his tenure with the Miami Heat. We're here, of course, to talk about Dwyane Wade, just a couple of days away from being enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame. So, what were your overall thoughts, UD, on the honor that Dwyane is receiving? Of course, you guys have a bond beyond basketball, a brotherhood that's existed for over 20 years now. But what were your thoughts about Dwyane being honored in this way?
I know Dwayne, like you said, like a brother, and he's not a selfish person. He's very unselfish. He's the one who gave up, money to get the big three here. He was the one who convinced those guys to give up money to keep me, and he's getting what he wants, and he's getting what he deserves.
I grew up watching you and D Wade since your rookie years, and one of the things that I just always remember going back to is you guys running that pick and roll. You setting the screen, him either coming around your screen or oftentimes just rejecting the screen, going the other way. And then maybe you would just kind of float down to the baseline, settle into your sweet spot there. He'd kick it back to you, and you would hit that jumper that kind of became your patented shot. My question to you is, what was the secret sauce behind your guys' pick and roll chemistry, your chemistry overall, that two-man game? What made it work that people like me growing up watching it for so many years didn't know?
I mean, when you're a guy like myself who doesn't have any plays ran for him, you learn how to get yourself open. So for me, it all started with setting a good screen and being deceptive. A lot of big guys are lazy. So I know if I start off getting to my screen with a burst and create some separation, and then I switch to the side of the screen. So if I start off with a burst and then I jump from the left to the right side and set the screen on the right side, Dwayne's most likely is going to cross over. That big is not going to get back to the other side. Either he's going to get downhill for a layup or he's going to be able to throw it back. So it mostly just started with the screen and me able to get a good burst and some separation to get Dwayne downhill. Like I said, a guy who doesn't get any plays ran for him, I always knew how to get myself open. I studied the game. I knew how to get myself a shot.
When it comes to Dwyane Wade, he played with so many, there was an era of these high scoring, high octane shooting guards that he kind of played with, whether it was, Baron Davis, Gilbert Arenas, these guys across the league, Monte Ellis, I think, Michael Redd was kind of a swing guard there. What made Dwyane Wade different where he's the one going into the Hall of Fame? He's the guy with the championships. What's not to take anything away from those guys, obviously, but just what sort of set him apart from the rest of those groups of guards?
I mean, the one thing you said already is the rings and the championships. But two, his leadership and two-way player. You know what I'm saying? I think he leads guards in block shots under 6'4", and under, or something like that. Number one in that. Was always on the all defensive team. So when you talk about a championship guy, or when you talk about a max player, what a max player is, that's what they do. You know what I mean? That's what they do. So Dwayne was a Hall of Famer on both ends of the basketball court. You know what I'm saying? He's not just going into the Hall of Fame for his offense. He's not just going into the Hall of Fame for his defense. He's not just going into the Hall of Fame because he's a part of winning teams. He's going into the Hall of Fame because he did all those things. He played offense. He played defense. He led winning teams. You know what I mean? So, this is a guy who I think, I would probably say he got everything he wanted out of this game. And, I'm so happy for my brother.
Absolutely. Let's take it back to the beginning. I know you've talked about it before, but take us back to 2003. You're both starting off at the same time. He's the high draft pick. You're the undrafted player. What are your first impressions of Dwyane at that point when you started off training camp?
Oh man, I had a buddy of mine that I grew up with that had taught us spoke so highly of Dwyane. In the triple double game that he had against Kentucky. I think everybody remembers that legendary game. So I had a buddy of mine that, as soon as the moment he drafted Dwyane Wade, he was already calling my phone, Dwyane Wade, Dwyane Wade, Dwyane Wade. And then when I had a chance to meet him, just quiet, very humble, coming down to Miami and it being my city, you know what I mean? We spent a lot of time together and just started showing him around the city, hanging out. Our mornings were working out our mornings were running at the track. Then we go over to the arena to lift weights. Then we go through our basketball skills stuff. Then we eat lunch and then we shoot. And then we come back later on the night and play pickup. So we literally spent 5-6 days a week together doing that. And then we just found out the similarities that we had that really brought us closer, that was bigger than the game of basketball, the life, situations that we had encountered, and the things that made us similar in ways that would just made us different from others, but we were similar to each other. So both of our parents struggled with a lot of different things coming up, and we were able to find strength in one another, through those stories as well.
I know you've always talked about kind of taking him under your wing and kind of showing him through your city because you're the mayor of Miami and have been for a long time. So can you share with us any stories? I've always been curious. Like, what's one situation where you were like, you know what, that's my guy, that's my boy. Do not mess with him. That's Dwyane Wade. Or was there anything, just something that might have cropped up, especially for two young guys, getting maybe into a little bit of trouble earlier in their careers?
I mean, it was no trouble. You know what I'm saying?
No trouble.
I made sure we stayed out of trouble. But he got his car stolen one time. He had a nice piece of jewelry in his car, and in about 24 hours, I found out where his car was, who stole it, and I called him. I said, "Hey, I found out where your car is. You want me to get it back? I can get the jewelry and get everything back." And he thought about it, and he was like, "Nah, don't worry about it. I got insurance on it." So that was one story, but like I said, that's my brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm so thankful, for the relationship that we've had. Not only that he not only has he's been a man, father, husband, businessman. So many things that I can say about him.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked about that because that was a good story there. But you mentioned like he was kind of young and humble when he started off, but one of the things that a lot of the people we've talked to when kind of having this reflection moment about Dwyane Wade is the maturity, just the way he's changed. And one of the things that everybody talks about, even Pat talked about it to us just a couple of days ago, the way he got more comfortable talking to media and things of that sort. But not just the maturity that he showed in dealing with us, but just the maturity on the court, his evolution as a person over the course of his career. You saw him when he was younger, but you're obviously still great friends with him now. What's that evolution been like from your perspective and seeing him kind of just grow and change the same way you've grown and changed over the course of your life?
It's been amazing to watch. And he's been an inspiration. He's been an inspiration to all of us who remain close to him. And I'm sure he's an inspiration to people that aren't close to him. But, I'm definitely watching, with my pen and my pad. Every time he makes a move or, every time he says something, I'm listening. I think you're as good as the people around you, they always like to say. I think, I'm surrounding myself with amazing people. And I think, at the forefront of those amazing people is the top of that list is Dwyane. You know what I'm saying? Not a day goes by where, I don't read an article where it's something he said or an article where it's something he did or I didn't learn something or I'm not inspired by something. We don't have to talk every day.
Building on that bond, I was listening Dwyane Wade doing another interview talking about the 2006 finals and game 3 when you guys came back from 12 points down in the fourth quarter. Him looking around that huddle, and we all know the story, him saying, "I ain't going out like this," right? And he talks about how him and then you, and I think he also mentioned GP at that time, kind of all had that same look, like the same kind of, hey, we're not going out like this look. Can you take us into the huddle? Like, how true is that story, like, of him just looking around and I ain't going out like this. And what do you remember about that feeling, that huddle at that time?
I mean, 1,000%. I remember your heart, like dropping. Like this is it. This is. We lose this game. We could forget about it. So you got that feeling in your stomach, and then your best player says, we ain't going out like that, and you snap out of it instantly, immediately. You snap out of it, and we always have this saying is, ride together, die together. Per se, we don't necessarily want to die, but you know what I'm saying, ride together, die together. So if we're gonna go out, we're going to go out together. We're going to go out together. You're going to leave it on the line. I'm going to leave it on the line. We're going to look each other out. But we won't go out like this. We won't just lay down. We won't just roll over and play dead. That's not how it's going to end. And we all made that mind up in that split moment, in that second. That's what we were going to do. Not knowing the outcome, but we knew what we were going to do. How we were going to approach those final minutes of the game. So I think the very next play, or like a play later, I get the steal on Dirk. On the pass, I try to go have full court. I get fouled, and with free throws, and I think from that point on, we just start the comeback.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting on Major League Baseball and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20. You'll add $200 in bonus bets. Whether you win or lose, that's $200 that you can spend on betting on everything from the money line to the over-under, to who you think is going to hit the first home run, all in an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to place a bet than on Major League Baseball than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And you sign up today, you visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, and you get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball.
Just kind of speaking about championships here, obviously you guys got 3 of them together. There are players out there that have not won as many championships as you guys, and I think about a guy like Paul Pierce who's out there right now.
Kind of comparing us. You don't think about him, he thinks about us.
I was just going to ask you. That's
you don't have to think about him. You don't have to think about him.
UD, what's the deal? Why you guys? Why Dwyane Wade? Why does he keep comparing? Like, what comparing them? Like, what's going on there?
I don't know. It sounds personal. It sounds personal, but
it does.
Man. I mean, those guys took that pretty tough. They took that loss in that series pretty tough. I think the next year when we got Ray,
boy,
and it went the way it went. I think that just added gasoline to the fire and made it worse. Those guys are old school, ultimate competitors. So I think they still hold on to a little bit of that, and I get it, but we got to let that go, man. It's a whole new group of generation of guys out here playing the game of basketball, and if you still watching or paying attention or focused on what's going on in the past, you might miss some of this entertainment out here. Some great ball players out here, man. And if you haven't paid attention, the Heat and the Celtics have created a whole new series now. It's a whole new rivalry that has nothing to do with me or Dwyane or any of us, and it's pretty damn entertaining. You probably should tap into that one.
I think just the whole big 3 part of it, the whole super, D-Wade bringing you and D-Wade bringing in LeBron and CB, and then you re-signing, and the whole story around that, obviously sort of truncating what they were able to do in Boston, right, with their big 3, and they only won 1, where you guys went to 4 straight finals and won 2 of them. But then after that, the legacy that you guys made, and everybody kind of trying to, I don't know if copy is the right word, but kind of create their own kind of big 3s, put their superstars together, not really having success. You're talking about like kind of the modern NBA. It doesn't work easy. What do you think people got wrong at that time or didn't really appreciate about you guys back then?
It takes a ton of sacrifice, and it takes some uncomfortable moments and some uncomfortable conversations. And I think that's what we didn't even realize at the beginning. And I think we got to a point where we realized, hey, if we want to win, we got to get uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? We got to get uncomfortable, and we got to have uncomfortable conversations with one another. Can't just go to our spots every time. We can't just do what we want every time. We're going to have to get comfortable actually being uncomfortable, playing in different spots, doing different things, playing a different way. Slowing it up, maybe slowing it down, whatever it takes. So I think that's what none of us could imagine or envision is how uncomfortable it would be and how much we would have to sacrifice. Now, sacrifice is a whole nother thing. Guys are willing to get uncomfortable, but guys ain't willing to sacrifice nothing. It's like it's like a foreign language when it's their turn to sacrifice. It's like sacrifice. Oh yeah, let's sacrifice. And then when it's like okay, you got to sacrifice too. It's like, oh, not me. Like, yeah, your ass too. Like everybody has to sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So those two things that we didn't, we didn't understand and we didn't know how much, it would matter. But those two things I would say were key and pivotal to the success that we have is getting uncomfortable and being able to sacrifice.
I wanted to ask you about somebody else going into the Hall of Fame alongside Dwyane this weekend. That's Dirk Nowitzki. The careers of Dwyane and yourself and Dirk have kind of just mirrored one another. Of course, there's 2006, there's 2011, there's Dwyane and Dirk retiring the same season, now going into the same Hall of Fame class. How have you seen that kind of steady relationship, not necessarily a friendship? And, as Dirk has talked recently, they're not necessarily friends, but what are your overall thoughts on Dirk Nowitzki, his career, and how, kind of Dallas and Miami have always been rivals, especially on the biggest stage of the NBA?
That was I couldn't really catch that. It broke up a little bit, guys. Sorry about that.
That's all right. No worries. If we just talk about Dirk Nowitzki and the fact that he's entering the Hall of Fame alongside Dwyane, yeah, what were your overall thoughts on Dirk and his career, and just the way that both your teams always met on the biggest stage and everything else? And I know there's a little bit of a rivalry there, and you did such an amazing job guarding him in 2006, something that I think gets completely overlooked when we're talking about Shaq, we're talking about Dwyane and his big moments, but the job you did on Dirk never really kind of gets the same kind of love, but we always remember it fondly around these here parts. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, or have you talk a little bit about Dirk and the way that kind of relationship has evolved over time.
I'm happy for Dirk, man. Congratulations, to him. He put me in a position early to bring more out of myself than maybe I knew I had. Tap into that, extra 1% to see how great you can be on the biggest stage ever. He challenged me, and unfortunately, I was able to step up to the challenge. So, if Dirk doesn't challenge me on that level, on that stage, who knows how my career, might have gone. So, I'm thankful for those matchups that we've had. Thankful for the ones that we won. Even though we lost, I got respect for the ones that we lost. Respect for the guys that were on those teams. Congratulations to Dirk. We've had some hell of a battles, and I'm happy for him. I like Dirk. I have no problem with Dirk at all.
Was there a moment in 2006 where you knew you had that you could match up with him defensively and do your job basically?
Oh man, you know what? I just felt like I didn't really pay attention to how he had played up until that point because he had destroyed everybody. You know what I mean? He had literally destroyed everybody in that playoffs. I think he destroyed San Antonio. He destroyed OKC. He destroyed people. So for me, I really try to just take all the other stuff out of it and try to make it as much mono as possible. You know what I mean? Just me on you. Be early. Get through every screen, keep a body on it, and make it a one-on-one, man-to-man matchup every time. I like to use the phrase, if I lock myself in the room with me and you, I'm the one that's coming out. So, I literally just try to lock myself in the room with Dirk as much as possible throughout those games. Bet on myself to be the one to come out.
UD, we got a couple more questions here. We really appreciate the time. And I just you mentioned the players these days, and one of the biggest guy in Miami among them, other than Jimmy Butler, is Bam Adebayo, who you basically handed the baton to before last season, and you made it very clear when you announced that you were retiring. Now that we're a full season later, what makes you feel even more confident in your decision to kind of put that on him in a public way, in terms of him being not in charge of the culture, but kind of being that carrier, being the lead guy there, and why is he ready to do that?
I mean, I think, it's already written. If you look, the proof is already there. One shot away from the finals, all the way to the finals. So, we've proven, that they can lead and that they can be a part of a championship caliber team. So now you just take away my little piece, and they continue to do it on their own. But they've learned. Bam has been, with me every step of the way. He's learned how to do what I do in his own way, which is very important because it has to be authentic. For guys to follow it has to be authentic for you to lead in your way. And I think he's figured out not only how to lead on the court, but how to lead off the court as well. You know what I'm saying? Leadership on a basketball court may not always be vocal. Leadership on a basketball court just might be raising the level of play of everybody by just playing inspiring basketball. Off the basketball court, there's a difference. You have to be vocal. You have to create relationships with these guys. You have to know their families, where they come from, what they like, what they don't like. Spend time with teammates and getting to know each other, creating that brotherhood. And those are the things that he was able to do over the past few years to create those relationships. And that's why now, he's ready and he's got, because they have those bonds and they have those relationships.
And then just one more question for you. This is not a question about Damian Lillard. I don't want to ask you about that. But I think the context is important just because when you're talking about that culture and you're talking to players across the league who maybe have never played for the Miami Heat, never really experienced this organization, why is it that players do want to come to Miami? Somebody like Dame might say, I want to go to the Heat, period. Like, what is it that you're hearing from other players that you talk to throughout your 20-year career that's like, yeah, you know what, what's that all about? I want to play there. Like, what's so attractive about it that fans and media just don't really know and don't understand?
Everything's built upon winning. Everything when you come here is built upon winning. From the day you walk in the door, the way you prepare mentally, physically, emotionally, is all built around winning. The habits you will build from day one is all built around winning. I think when you get to the point in this league where you're tired of losing or you're tired of doing things per se your way, that's when you want to come over to a place like us where villains are welcome and do the right way and the Heat way. And then when you do things the right way, you do things the Heat way. I think guys have watched guys that are on their way out of this league or have struggled. They watch guys come upon this culture. They watch guys come and do things the Heat way and resurrect their career and have success and put themselves in position to extend their careers and, get extra money out here in these leagues and get big contracts. So I think people have seen the results of the culture and what we've been able to do with our guys when they come here. You look at all these teams that are going over the salary cap and are spending crazy money. We're nowhere near that, but yet we're just as successful or more successful than these teams. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Dwyane, Udonis. We really appreciate your time. Will you be in Springfield for Dwyane's enshrinement?
Of course I will, guys. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
All right. I'll see you there. Again, thanks so much for taking the time. 20 years wasn't enough. And I think I speak for a lot of South Florida when we say that your presence will be – we know that you're going to be around the arena, that you'll be around the team, but it just won't be the same as seeing your number 40 out in the court. You always mean something to Heat fans everywhere around the world.
Thank you, guys, man. I appreciate it. And, it's going to be different, but I'm looking forward. I'm excited about the next stage and the next phase, man. I'm impact winning from a different spot, a different position, but the goal's going to remain the same.
Love
Absolutely.
it. UD, you're a legend. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy it.
All right, fellas. Peace.